Coming up in this edition of Cogeco News, more positive tests in the district for COVID-19. The YMCA being reconfigured during this crisis, and a wedding celebration of sorts for a couple who couldn't have a wedding. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Monday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrooks. In just the last 4 days, the number of COVID-19 positive cases has risen from none in the area to a half dozen. 5 more added from Friday through Sunday. Clark Eipel standing by outside the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit with an update. Clark.
Yes, Greg, there are now 6 confirmed positive cases of the coronavirus in the North Bay Parry Sound District. The health unit confirming these numbers as of this Monday. All but one of those cases are travel related. Now, that one individual, a male in his 30s, is believed to have contracted COVID-19 in the community, the transmission occurring in the North Bay Parry Sound District. Through a press release issued mid-Monday afternoon, the unit says the community transition means the virus is now spreading within the community. The male in his 30s is in self-isolation, and his close contacts have been contacted by the unit's disease control program. Now, 2 of those 5 travel-related cases, a couple in their 70s, were repatriated off a cruise ship earlier this month of March. That couple had previously spent 10 days in quarantine at the Canadian Forces Base in Trenton. Meanwhile, following up from Friday's news that an employee of North Bay's post office on Worthington Street tested presumptive positive, no update was given by the health unit on that specific case. The post office was open to the public on this day after deep cleaning and sanitization over the weekend. Cogeco News did reach out several times to the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit for comment on the confirmed cases. We did not hear back as of broadcast time. We will look to connect with Dr. Cogeco for Tuesday's edition of Cogeco News. Reporting outside the health unit on Oak Street, I'm Clark Eipel for Cogeco News. Let's send it back to Greg at the news desk.
North Bay's YMCA is being repurposed in very short order as a 24-hour emergency homeless support shelter. Previously closed due to the coronavirus concern, the gymnasium and other facilities will be opened up and utilized to allow for shelter up to 40 people.
We've tried to think of everything that could possibly help prevent the spread of this illness. So showers, hand washing, laundry, and we're really trying to attempt to put everything in place to prevent this from spreading.
And being that this is a 24/7 operation, there's no time limit. You won't have to tell people that it's time to go.
That is our hope. We're hoping that we'll be able to use this facility for the length of the duration of this illness and until it's done, until the quarantine's done.
Mark King is the chair of DSAB, the District of Nipissing Social Services Administration Board.
We're quite capable of handling the homeless issue in this city, but what seems to be happening is there's a lot of transient traffic that's coming from other regions that's putting an awful lot of demand on the system. So, as far as the stays are concerned, I think the numbers probably indicate this transient traffic that's happening.
Dave Mendocino is the chair of the NDHC, the Nipissing District Housing Corporation.
The gym at the YMCA was very, very attractive given the size of it. We definitely practice social distancing there, and also the fact that the squash courts are available for use as well. It just gives us the required space that we need right now.
Because of the size right now, it's obviously a lot bigger than the existing warming center. So in terms of COVID precautions and recommendations, we're using this larger facility so that we could have social distancing, etc., and people sleeping apart from each other. And if need be, if we could also have different rooms for quarantine if somebody was exhibiting symptoms, stuff like that.
Do you expect it to fill up to capacity?
For the numbers we're seeing right now, we will not be at capacity, but we don't know what's to be expected in terms of how long this will last, and people are in precarious situations right now financially, so we may end up seeing more people homeless, unfortunately.
Now, this announcement comes a day after emergency personnel were called to the current shelter, which is located at the former Good to Go location on Main Street East.
So yesterday morning at around 11, we had about 30 individuals at the Good to Go day hub. There were 3 police cars and an ambulance. We have, for our safety protocols, we have space for about 10. So we recognized very quickly that we needed to shut the center down and regroup and rally staff so that we would be open for tomorrow night and revisit our processes in order that we could open the day hub again today.
And the limit to 5 people in terms of a gathering, does that apply to social services?
No, we recognize we certainly have to be very careful to keep social distancing and space between folks, but we wouldn't be able to adhere to that 5-person gathering as we deal with this homeless population.
I can tell you anyone that wants shelter or needs shelter will be able to provide it, but I just want to make the community aware that we do know of individuals that are choosing not to take that option. They choose not to be in Center of Friends or choose to take a hotel room for whatever reason, and that's their right. No one can force them to do otherwise. So just because they see somebody that's outside doesn't mean that they were not offered shelter. They've more than likely chosen for whatever reason not to take it. But I can tell you the social services, or Mary Davis and her team, our team here at City Hall, we're doing everything we can in this pandemic to help our vulnerable and homeless.
Meanwhile, the federal government announced some additions to its relief plan for Canadians, financial relief that is. Also joining us on this day to talk about the news via Skype is Nipissing-Temiskaming MP Anthony Rota.
These enhancements really help people whose businesses suffered. If your business has suffered or you've seen a decrease of 30% or more, you qualify. And that's one of the things that's very important in this. And it's making sure that businesses, nonprofits, charities, and employees have some continuity. Right now, we're going through some very tough times, and the economy is suffering. So what we want to make sure is that once this is all over, that the economy, the businesses will still be there to employ people, and people will still have their goods that they can rely on. For individuals, for instance, 75% of your salary will be covered up to the first $58,700. Now, that'll be backdated to March 15th, which will take into account what's happened. And I realize that in the meantime, there are some tough times that have happened and some worrisome times. So this is all about bridging between what we're going through right now and the next phase of the economy when it starts picking up again. So that was the biggest part of the announcement this morning.
I wanted to ask, though, obviously there's still a lot of machinery that has to get put in place, and a lot of people still have to, I've talked to some who say, it's a lot of time spending on hold on the phone or trying to get through on the net and fill out the proper form. So we're still talking about a run-up that's not being expedited as quickly as everybody would like. Of course, everybody would like it in one day, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of the machinery behind a lot of these announcements have not been put in place. Both the Minister of Finance and the Minister for Small Businesses, they and their departments are working on making sure that everything will be in place. Predictions are the 6th of April. I would probably say closer to the middle of April before everything starts going in full force.
Domestically, there's been some changes and restrictions added. I mean, there are now QPP on the Quebec side of the border. If you want to go to Temiskaming, if you're not going to work, you're not getting across the border. How do you feel about that? Do you think it may be reciprocated or maybe go from coast to coast for the short term?
It is a privilege that the provinces have, a privilege, it's a right that they have to control their borders. And in this situation, it's a decision that was made in Quebec City I've got a call into the Prime Minister's office, and it's something that is a concern. People who live in Thorn, LD, on the border, who have family, whether it's their parents or siblings on the other side, and they want to go visit or help out. I've received a number of calls from people whose elderly parents are on the Quebec side, and usually the people from the Ontario side will go over there and do their groceries and deliver groceries while they're at it and buy groceries for themselves. Now, for Thorn, for example, they could do 5 minutes, go to IGA in Thorn, buy their groceries and come, or in Timiskaming, and then come back, as opposed to drive an hour to North Bay and have a chance of something happening and contact with people that is really unnecessary. So it's something that we're looking into right now. And
All right, thank you for that, Anthony. The Ontario government, meantime, has tightened the vice on public gatherings, making it a violation if 5 people are gathering at close quarters. There are some exceptions permitted, but it's still another step in the virtual lockdown of most of Ontario. Joining us also via Skype to talk more about this, Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli.
It is a big adjustment for people, but it lends itself to understanding the severity of this. And this is advice of the Chief Medical Officer of Health and other leading health officials. So it does not apply to essential workplaces or when you have members of a single household, and funerals will be allowed to have 10 people at a time. But quite frankly, the health and well-being of the people of Ontario is of the top priority. And people better start taking this seriously.
And in regards to that, how will that be enforced? And also, Doug Ford has said, there's not going to be any more people charging $30 for, one container of hand sanitizer.
Well, price gouging during a pandemic is unacceptable. It's un-Canadian, and through legislation or through regulation, we're ending it right now. Hand sanitizer, household cleaners, they're all in increasing demand during all over Ontario during this pandemic. And so there's an order, and it's a $750 fine for an individual for breaking the law. For a business, it could be up to $100,000 fine and a year in prison. And for a corporation, it's a $500,000 fine and imprisonment for a year. That's how serious we are about approaching these hoarders.
And I know it was an unrelated topic in regards to health itself, but the gas price differential, will that still be examined by you and Minister Rickford?
So I brought that up at Cabinet, and there are other laws in place today about gas pricing. So it is not on the list like hand sanitizers and household cleaners. This is a very specific list that we have that's specific to the safety of our families for COVID-19. The gas issue is handled by other laws, which we're still working on and still trying to enforce and to enhance. But quite frankly, the essential services are things like the hand sanitizers and other cleansers.
Break time on Cogeco News, much more when we come back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A peer support phone line has been set up by PEP, People for Equal Partnership in Mental Health. The new Warm Line is available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, to assist members of the community who are, well, facing challenges during this very difficult time.
Everything closed so fast. I mean, the way PEP is geared is we're kind of a drop-in center and we have a wide variety of clients. But with PEP closing and Center of Friends closing, there really was no resource accessible for some of the members and just some of the other people where they need someone to call that's not an emergency call. So they put together a warm line, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I think we're going to add in the Saturday 11 to 4 as well. And it's just a number they can call to talk to someone.
And who is typically on the other end of the phone?
It's usually someone from peer support like myself. Most of us have social work background, but given PEP is peer support driven, I think it's better to phrase it as a peer support line.
And who is able to call?
Well, really anyone.
And is there a charge for this service?
No, it's free.
And when people call, what are typically some of the issues or concerns that people are expressing?
At this point, what I've noticed is it's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, just some unsurety, and I guess a disruption to the routine too. So they're kind of at a loss of as what to do, which I find interesting because a lot of our programs on our monthly calendar deal with issues like depression, anxiety, that type of thing, and we just try to have an open forum talk about it. It's not as in-depth as perhaps some of the programs out there, but just to raise awareness. So a lot of these calls kind of relate to that, and I guess that's what's missing, the programming, right? So the assurance and just being heard is a big component in that.
And typically when someone calls, how long does the call last for?
Usually 5-10 minutes. It's pretty quick to tell if they need some other service, like if they're calling and they should be calling, like if they're in crisis, they should be calling the emergency line instead. But with issues as to what to do to help reduce anxiety, that type of thing, yeah, I'd say maybe 10 minutes.
On a happier note, today was supposed to be Kaylee McConnell and Matt Coles' dream day, a destination wedding this day, 3 o'clock in the Dominican Republic. That, of course, didn't happen because of COVID-19. But today at 3 o'clock in North Bay, the couple's friends and family staged a different kind of celebration on 4th Avenue. Kaylee and Matt couldn't get married on this day, but the next best thing. Gotta have a piper, gotta have some friends. They had the piper and lots of friends parading down 4th Avenue to give them, well, the next best thing to a wedding that they hope happens this fall.
We couldn't enjoy ourselves on the beach, so here we are. Well, the piper was supposed to be in Punta Cana with us too, so he decided that he'd come and help us out and come and play for us here.
This was Matt's stepsister, Jenna, and her friend, Bailey. They were the ones who coordinated a Facebook group, and we all signed up, and we're happy to be here if we could make it. I talked with Matt the other day, and he was commenting about how somebody was stopping by with something, and I was trying not to give it away, and I hope I sort of had a plain face when we were talking, but I seem to. I think they're surprised.
It is what it is. Like, it's, I'm going to try not to cry. It's just all this. There's bigger things than just our wedding, so it is what it is, and we'll postpone and celebrate with our friends and family.
You know, it makes you emotional to realize how good of friends and family you have, and for them to do all that for us, it's just unreal.
The couple hopes to have a destination wedding in the fall. It's a wild scene, but a great scene. Breakdown has arrived here in Cogeco News. When we come back, Mr. Heupel has the weather right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here along the bend in the road on Memorial Drive. I'm here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. As you can see behind me, the fog is pretty low to the ground and visibility is low following the noon hour downpour that we had on this Monday. Temperature just about where it should be for this time of year as we're wrapping up March 2020. That low-lying fog should dissipate as the afternoon progresses, and the precipitation will continue into the evening hours of this Monday. Chance of rain showers or flurries on Tuesday before the sun moves in for the rest of the week. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Heading overnight on this Monday night, we have a cooler low of 1 degree above freezing. Chance of the rain continuing throughout the overnight hours. On the last day of March, Tuesday, a high of 6 with cloud cover, chance of flurries or rain showers. And then we drop below freezing on Tuesday night to a low of -3. On Wednesday, April Fool's Day, the 1st of April, mix of sun and cloud, high 7. And then overnight, Wednesday night, low -2. Thursday, the 2nd of April, a high of 10. Double-digit positive degree high for Thursday. Sun and cloud to boot, and then a low of +1 Thursday night. And the first Friday of April, high 11 above and low 4 below. Mix of sun and cloud on Friday. Turning the page back to the almanac, we can tell you that we can't tell you because Environment Canada did not provide the high and low for Sunday. We do know that it rained a lot, and the normals for this time of March, 5 above and 5 below for the normal high and low. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. Do stay tuned as Greg Esterbrooks will have your sportscast right after this. The Battalion are preparing for this weekend's OHL priority selection. All that and more as the Battalion pick first, right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Although the Battalion, i.e. GM Adam Dennis, isn't telling anyone outside of the organization what they're going to do when it comes to the OHL draft. They're supposed to announce that on Friday, the top pick. Top-ranked player Adam Fantilli, far and away the top-rated player, is heading to the United States Hockey League for at least a year. That, according to, well, every source, including his dad. So North Bay could still take Fantilli and hope he shows up next year, or perhaps go in another direction and trade his rights for a bunch of draft picks. Here's a comment from owner Scott Abbott and GM Dennis on that draft and the Euro draft.
To acquire a great deal of talent in this draft and in the next few drafts here. We're certainly in position to do it this year with the first overall selection. We are doing our due diligence towards that selection, and we feel good about where we're going, but that pick will be made known presumably Friday, April 3rd, the day before the priority selection itself, which has been the custom or the protocol in the league for the last several seasons. So we draft first overall in the import draft. I think it's very important. We're working hard to acquire an impactful player in that process, and that's one way we get better sooner.
Groundwork already, and I think the one thing that's important is the players do their homework as well. So when they can see the general excitement that we have, when they can see our plan, I think there's a lot to be excited about in terms of coming to North Bay. So we go into that draft optimistic.
That is it for news, weather, and sports for this Monday. More Cogeco news coming at you live at 5 on Tuesday.